Hi, Supermom. It's Alena here, your mommy tantrum specialist. And yes, I used to be a specialist at having my mommy tantrums, especially in the evenings and during the bedtime. And that's exactly what we are going to talk about today. Because I have, like most of the moms who come to me asking for help, like to help them stop being the angry, yelling moms, they typically tell me it's either the morning routine that's stressing them out, that they are so like nervous and so pressed for time and they turn into mamzellas already in the morning. Or then even the bigger group of moms tell me that they are fighting with the bedtime because it usually takes too long. The kids are trying to negotiate like one more story or one more sip of water, or I need to go to the bathroom, yeah, still. And the moms are like, when are you finally going to go to bed? And they're trying to be nice and just keep it cool because those are the last moments of the day. We don't want to yell at the kids and we don't want them to go to sleep upset. We don't want them to be the last thing they remember before falling asleep, how their mom yelled at them and how she made them feel. But that's what happens, right? You're trying to keep it cool. You're trying to, I'm not going to yell. This is the last 5 minutes. I can make it through. Afterwards, I'm going to relax after like at the end of my super long, super busy day. I'm so exhausted. Let this be the last 5 minutes and then I'm going to cool down. But it just another 5 minutes, another 5 minutes, and it never ends. And it feels like you will never get any sleep tonight. So that at some point, it's like the hell breaks loose. You finally lose it, which makes it even worse. Because if the kids were grabbing for your attention, trying to make you stay longer, not willing to go to sleep, after you yell at them, it's even worse because they're even more upset and it will take even more time to help them cool down and help them fall asleep finally, right? So this is not working and you're scratching your head, completely desperate, thinking like, what the heck? You've tried probably many parenting techniques, different bedtime routines, and stuff, and none of that is working. So first of all, please know you're not alone. This was absolutely one of my biggest pain points as well, because then when my daughter did finally go to sleep, I felt so guilty. I felt like I was a complete failure as a mom, because imagining how painful that must have been for my daughter going to sleep thinking that like my mom doesn't love me, she yelled at me and it's my fault because yeah, I cannot fall asleep. It was breaking my heart. And then when she was finally sleeping and I was leaving her room, looking at her like that little innocent angel, and I was like, how come I feel the most love for her when she's sleeping? How come I cannot have that feeling and be present to her energy, and enjoy being with her while she's awake? How come I can access finally that feeling of love only when she's asleep and she cannot receive it fully because she's already gone? She's in her dreams. So if you're there, if you're struggling with this these days and you're just like drowning in it, please know you're absolutely not alone. I find that either the morning and or the bedtime routine, 70% of moms are fighting with that. So it is unfortunately very common, but there is an effective way how to get out of it. And it's not parenting techniques. It's not parenting manipulation. Okay. Because if you've been around my space a little bit, if you've watched some of stuff from me or listened to this podcast, you know that I'm not a parenting expert. Everything I'm sharing here is either from my own experience as a mom, or that it's coming from my professional experience as a trauma therapeutic coach and a mental fitness coach working with moms like you. But I don't tell them what to do about their kids. What I do is that I go on your journey. I help you dive within you to see, well, first, what do we need to clean up on your end? Because that's where it starts. And that's why none of those parenting techniques will help you in the first place. If you're still getting angry, if you're still getting triggered, if you still have problems setting and keeping healthy boundaries without yelling, that tells me the work needs to start with you. And that's exactly what I do. Okay. So because I have lots of moms who come to me the first time and they're like, what did you say again you're doing? Like trauma, what? I had a happy childhood. Like, yeah, my parents yelled at me, but whose parents don't? And I turned out just fine. I'm just stressed out because I have so many things to do. Either I have no husband or my husband is not helping at all. He's like a lazy another kid on top of my list. So I'm alone on everything. I have long days, and it's just, isn't it normal that I'm just exhausted? Like, I know I shouldn't be yelling at my kids, but isn't it normal? Yes, it is. And no, it's not your fault. You're absolutely right. But there is a way to deal with it. And because those moms are typically thinking like, what do you do and how does it exactly work, trying to wrap their brain around it. So I decided I'm going to give you a little like sneak view, like peek behind the scenes, so that you get at least the steps. Is it going to take you all the way through that you would be able to do it as a DIY project? Just follow the steps like IKEA furniture and you will put it together and you'll be healed and tantrum free. You will never yell at your kids again. Most likely not. I wish it was the case. That would be so easy. Not, but it will give you an idea where to start, and it will give you an idea where is it that you need to go to get the full result and to really become like anger free and build up your stress resistance so that you can keep your calm even in those like highly stressful moments when you're exhausted and physically just tired and running on fumes and feeling like I cannot do another 5 minutes. That's what is possible. Okay, so I'm going to give you the steps, and then it will be up to you how far and how deep you want to go with it, and if you really want to get professional help to go all the way. Okay, so what are the steps? Step number 1, thinking, and I do that, you might have heard me talking about it in all of my workshops and podcast episodes. The first, where you get the clues about what's going on, what needs to get cleaned up, is in your emotions. So often we are trying to avoid feeling those emotions, especially like feeling out of control, powerless, whatever it is that you're feeling right before you yell out. Okay, because the anger, the fact that you're not able to control it and it kind of like jumps up automatically without you even wanting, you're trying to squeeze it in, you're doing your best to push it out so that it doesn't come out. But the fact that it does, it tells me that's your defense mechanism, that's your last boundary. You, for some reason, and we are going to get to that, for some reason, you're not keeping healthy boundaries, you're not protecting yourself. I would let that sink in. Your anger is your last boundary, protection mechanism, because you don't have healthy boundaries in place. For some reason, we believe that moms need to keep giving, sacrificing, martyr, victim of your family, of your kids. You don't set healthy boundaries until, so it becomes so bad that then your anger comes up as the last effective, you know that how effective that is, but it comes up as the last mechanism to protect you from completely just being depleted and just crashing down from burnout. Okay, so what did you feel the moment right before you yelled out? That's your clue. Usually it is powerless, out of control, not heard, like I'm not listened to. No matter what I say, nobody listens here. Nobody respects me. Nobody appreciates all the work that I do. What is it for you? And this is your clue, because you can trace that all the way back to your past. When is the first time you felt that way? Out of control. People not listening to you, not respecting you, and just crossing your boundaries and telling you like, okay, whatever you want, but it's going to be my way. And you could do nothing about it. When is the first time you ever felt that way? And when is the first time and from whom did you learn that motherhood means being the victim, martyr, sacrificing everything for everybody else, but it's not okay to say what you need in a calm way before it becomes too late and you need to reinforce it by yelling and getting mad at others. Like, how dare you? I gave you everything. How dare you asking for more? That's a sign that you let somebody already cross your boundaries before. Okay? So this is the first part of what I'm doing, because those past experiences, like whenever it happened in your past that somebody made you feel it's okay for them to go and tell you what to do, not listen to you, not respect you, and just do with you whatever they want, and you need to listen and zip it. That's the experience that needs to be healed. Because at that point in your past, most likely in your childhood, coming from your own parents who might have been stressed and didn't know how to manage their emotions, wanted you to listen and not be this uncontrollable child who just does whatever she wants and whenever she wants, because that's what kids do. Sorry to break you the news. You were also a normal, beautiful, innocent child at some point. But somebody couldn't stand it. It was too much for them to handle. So they wanted to put you in a box, make you a good girl. Go and listen, be the pleaser, listen to your parents. I was working with a client, it was a heavy story. She came to me exactly for this morning and bedtime routines. Like the bedtime was one of the biggest struggles. And when we started doing this and going back to her past, she told me she realized that her bedtime was extremely, extremely stressful for her because her parents wanted her to stay in her room. And it got to a point when she was forced, like really, they would have beaten her up. So she had to stay in her room, but she needed to pee. So one day she even had to find a bottle in her room that she could pee in, because she knew if she got out to go to the toilet, she would be like beaten up. And she was resourceful enough to find a way to avoid it without like compromising her health or peeing all over her bed. So she just found a bottle and peed in it. So like, duh. Yes, this is a trauma, my dear. Let's call it what it is. And you might have not gone through such extreme example, or maybe you have. Maybe you were beaten up as well if you left the room. Maybe like me, I was not beaten up. I was not yelled at because as far as I remember, I was already the good girl. We did not get out of the room with my brother past the bedtime. We did not, because we knew we would get in trouble. But in general, like the rules were so strict and the requirements were so high, we were taught how to comply. Yeah. So this is the first step. This is something that needs to be cleaned up from your past first. It is a trauma. It is a developmental trauma. You can listen to some of the previous podcast episodes where I talk about it. What is the developmental trauma? But that's what it takes in the first place. Okay. You need to heal those experiences, to integrate all the little pieces of yourself, to find all of those hurtful memories and start healing them so that you are not walking around with open wounds. They're still open. And whenever your kids don't respect you, don't listen to you, it's as if they were putting their little salty, sticky fingers right in the middle of that wound, and it starts hurting again. And it's like a time machine that takes you all the way back to the moment when that wound was created, and all that pain comes back. This is what your anger, uncontrollable, automated, angry reaction is. That's where it's coming from. Okay. You're trying to protect that wound because it's raw, it's still open, even decades after. It's like a time machine that takes you straight there. And the only defense you have, that you also had back then when you were 3, 4, 5 years old, you didn't know any better. You didn't have any mature techniques of protecting yourself and your boundaries. You were yelling. That was the last thing you could do to protect yourself, was to yell and scream and cry. That's exactly what you're doing now when your kids are pushing your wound that is still there, raw and open. Does that make sense? Yes. This is the first step. That's why you need to get help, not a classic talk therapy, not counseling. I hear it so often. People tell me, yeah, but I've dealt with my traumas. I've dealt with the experiences that happened to me when I was a child. I get it. Kudos to you. Congratulations, if it helped you a bit. But if you're still here looking for help with your kids, how to make them obey you so that you don't have to get angry, it tells me that the anger, that's a flag. Your trauma was not healed. Your past was not healed completely, not fully. Maybe you have better understanding now, awareness with your logical brain, but your nervous system in your body, your gut feeling, your subconscious mind, where even your like memory from the time before even your long-term memory was created in your smart brain. There's a memory in your subconscious mind that remembers even when you were a newborn. It remembers how you felt, right? Those are memories that are not accessible through your smart brain, right? That's why you cannot talk about it in a classic counseling or talk therapy. Okay, that's why you need to work with somebody who's working with subconscious mind and the body, with the somatic system, and who's doing developmental trauma therapy. Okay, somebody who knows how to deal with these things, because they are special, they are delicate, and there are ways to reach it and heal it very effectively. Even in 1 or 2 sessions, you can heal one experience. That's at the core of this whole cluster of beliefs that you believe about yourself. I'm not lovable. I cannot say what I need because it would be selfish. I need to take care of others' needs, and I need to make sure that they feel good before I start taking care of myself, because that's what your parents taught you. Like, that's what my mom taught me by being so stressed out and always on the edge. She taught me to be her pleaser and to anticipate all of her needs so that I would help her de-stress. I was her nervous regulator. I was helping her de-stress because I knew if I did that, she was much less likely to yell at me, and she might have a little bit more time, few seconds, just to see me and give me a hug in the middle of her busy, right? That's what I learned. And that's what I had to unlearn and heal as an adult in order to be effective in my parenting, in order to be unconditionally loving parent for my daughter. Because I was very confused about where is really unconditional love and where are the boundaries, where is me, where is the giving, and where is protecting myself from burning out and being depleted by giving out all of myself. I was very confused about what those things meant, right? So the chances are, if you're sitting here listening to this, you might be struggling with something very similar. So what it's going to take is developmental trauma therapy, working with subconscious mind and your body so that you heal it once for all. Okay, that's the first step. Now, second step, luckily there are only 2, okay? It's not going to be like a 10-step. Yes, to be honest, it is a lifelong journey. Even for me, I'm on this journey for 3 years now. There are still things popping up for me. I can say 90-95% a calm mom now, not a super mom always, but I'm much calmer. But there are still things now and then that pop up, especially when I go back home and meet my family, meet my brother, like, trauma time machine. There are more and other memories that keep popping up that I need to keep processing and working with. It is a lifelong journey. But the heaviest, most painful things, that they can get sorted out pretty fast within a few sessions. Okay, so that was step 1. Step 2, last step, is you learning how to be. Do I want to use that metaphor again? I think I used it in the last episode, but I will use it again because I can hear from people listening to the podcast that it's helping. It makes sense. Remember the last time you were flying on a plane? There's a pilot in the cockpit, right? He's supposed to get the plane safe up in the air, reach the destination, and land. But it's not always a smooth flight, right? There are storms, there are snowstorms, there can be like those wind capsules and things that make the plane shake. So sometimes it's very difficult. Now, what if that pilot, the moment there's a difficult storm and there's like a low visibility and it's just tough to fly the plane? What if the pilot would suddenly start freaking out and thinking and yelling in the radio, like, oh my goodness, we are going through a storm. I have no idea what to do. This is so tough. The plane is shaking. Somebody help me. I have so much to do, so many things and like levers and things to do. And this is so much. And you guys at the back, you're making it even more difficult because you're yelling there. If you would just shut up so that I can focus and concentrate, everybody, ah! And leaves the cockpit and start running up and down the plane just in panic. I know it's funny and it's not funny because this is you. This used to be me. I felt so overwhelmed. It felt like I was flying a plane and a boat and like doing a million things at the same time. And I felt out of control, completely like a victim. I have no idea where to go first. And my daughter, you're making it even worse by wanting even more. And I have nothing else to give. I have no energy, no attention, like no, there's nothing left. I'm already in panic. What do you want more? And nobody teaches us that, right? This is something that you either learn from your parents, how to deal with stressful situations, how to deal with situations when you don't get things your way, when bad stuff happens, when you are overwhelmed, when you are sick physically. How do you not lose it mentally as well? That's something we learned from our parents, and they either teach you the good way because they have learned the tools and the methods and strategies without even thinking about it. They learned it from somebody who could do that, and so they showed you in their example how to do that. But most likely, if you're sitting here listening to my podcast and my stories, you have a childhood like me with a super busy super parents. They didn't know how to do that for themselves, and we learned it from them. So we are freaking out as well. I used to be that pilot freaking out, leaving the cockpit and the plane crashing and burning every night without me, but with all of us on board. Yeah. So the good news is there are mental fitness techniques, because that's what it's called, mental fitness. It's your ability. No, you don't have muscles in your brain, but there are neural pathways. You can strengthen them as if you were strengthening your muscles, so that the heavier load you're lifting, the stronger your muscles need to be, so that you don't lose it, so that you don't drop it, so that you don't run away like that crazy pilot, right? Because what the pilots are taught in every training, like before they get the plane with full of people, what is it that they need to learn? They need to learn how to stay focused. Because the heavier it is, the more stressful the situation is, the more crucial it is for them to stay calm and laser focus on what's the next most important thing, not what is the 1 billion gazillion things that I could be and should be and must be doing right now. What is the protocol? What are my priorities? 1, 2, 3, and everything else goes away. Okay, they have to be able to be laser focused, prioritized, and calm, keeping their cool, because the moment they lose their calm and focus, they are up, everybody, not just them, but the entire plane. It's the same for you and your family, right? This is a skill. It's a skill that needs to be learned and that needs to be practiced every day. And that's the second part of what I'm doing with my clients. It's called mental fitness. Because it's like, imagine you want to run up the hill or a long flight of stairs. Your muscles need to be strong enough for you to do that without losing your breath and having to stop halfway. You're not just a pilot of a plane that would fly for 4 hours and then land and you can sleep for the whole day. You're not running just one flight of stairs and then taking a break. If you're here, it's because you're a busy supermom and it feels like you're flying nonstop, 24/7. You're running up the stairs nonstop, 24/7 with the heavy luggage on your end with the kids in tow, right? Your challenges are much higher than where your mental fitness level is right now. That's why you need this practice to level up. Because I'm sorry, I don't have a magic wand. I cannot have your problems disappear. I cannot have your husband help you out more. I cannot make your kids to be grown up now so that they can be totally independent, taking care of their breakfast and laundry and go to school and everything, not needing you just for those cuddles and kisses at the end of the day. I cannot do that. This will still be here. Bad stuff will still happen. You will get sick. They will get sick. You'll have to cancel your day. Your mother-in-law is toxic and she's making it worse, judging you, criticizing you. You don't have much control over these things. The only thing you have a control of is your mental fitness level. Is it higher than the level of challenges you're dealing with? Stop focusing here. You have very little control about what other people are doing and what life is throwing at you. But here, this is completely and fully within your control. Where is your level of mental fitness? And is it higher than the level of your current challenges? Because this can change over time, right? chances are, like now it's holiday time in Europe. Holiday time was usually like stress going up because the kids are at home. You cannot like delegate them to the teachers, like, hey, take care of them now. They are with you. Time to meet your family for holidays. Where is your level of mental fitness? Okay, this is the second part of what I'm doing. And let's go back specifically to the bedtime routine, how it shows up. And I'll tell you in my example, and then maybe I'll pick some of my clients as well. So for me, starting doing the wrap up now on the step one, I realized when I started doing this work, I realized that I was starting to yell at my daughter because indeed, I was always taught to be the good girl. I was always taught not to challenge my mom's rules, to always listen. So when my daughter wouldn't listen to me, I was triggered. The second part on the mental fitness side was that my mental fitness level was really much lower than my challenges. I was running my business while she was still small. And her bedtime was important to me because I needed to go back to work. I had client sessions. I had group sessions planned after. So if she was still up, because my husband was not back from work yet, I needed her to be in bed because I couldn't do effectively like my coaching sessions with clients with my daughter on my lap, being already tired and needing to sleep, right? So it was so stressful for me because there was like the time was ticking and I felt completely powerless, clueless, out of control. How the heck do I do it? So what difference did it make for me going through these two steps? So in the step one, doing the healing on my own past, first of all, I realized I don't have to be a super mom the way that my mom used to do. I don't need to have 1,000 things on my plate just so that I feel I'm good enough and nobody else can criticize me because I know I'm doing 1,000% more than anybody else I know, right? So cleaning that up, that need to prove and to sacrifice, that's what motherhood is about, doing all these things for everybody because that's how you show love. I cleaned that all up. So we ended up having our bedtime routine back down to basics. And my priorities as the pilot flying a plane, my priority number one was fill my daughter's cup. In other words, make her feel loved, connected to me through one-to-one, like full attention at her time, no phones, no distractions. You matter, my love, and I love you so much, and I will give you all the cuddles and kisses that you ever needed to make sure that you're going to fall asleep happy, calmly, with no drama, no needing to grab for my attention because you already have it in advance, even before you get upset and have a tantrum. Okay, so that was the result of the step one. The step two, healthy boundaries. Once I started raising my mental fitness level, I realized that I'm creating a lot of those problems myself by not setting healthy boundaries before it escalates, right? And the healthy boundaries were for us specifically in terms of having some rules. For example, it was 2 fairy tales, like 2 chapters of a fairy tale that she chose, not more. Okay? Because before there were days when I read 3 or 4, and so then of course there were days she was always asking for 3 or 4 and more because she knew she could get it before. But when there were days when I was pressed for time, we were already running late, and I was like, there's no way how I'm going to make it in time for my call that starts like in half an hour. I wanted to shorten it. So I was like, okay, so it's just 1 story today. And of course, that made her so mad that it took even longer than if I did the 2 stories. So then I realized I'm creating these problems myself by not being consistent. So we agreed on the rules. Those are the rules. 2 stories. That's it. No matter what, no matter if I'm rushed, no matter if she wants more, it's 2. So of course she kept trying for a couple of more days afterwards, but then she learned, like, it has nothing to do with me if I'm good enough or not, if then my mom will read more, or if I yell and cry enough, she will do more. No matter what was happening, it's 2 and done. Okay. And the same thing was with everything else. I have a client who was telling me that her daughter is using any excuse just to get out of bed. And one of the excuses is, oh, mommy, I'm hungry. And she's like, yeah, but you should have eaten more for dinner. And the daughter is like, yeah, but I'm hungry now. I want to eat more. So no boundaries. You wanted to eat, there's a dinner time. So the next evening, I told her, like, the easiest thing is remind your daughter, this is the last time you have opportunity to eat today. Do you want to eat some more? Because if you're going to ask me in bed that you want a snack, I'm going to say no. And that has nothing to do with you, our relationship. I love you. I want you to be well fed. I don't want you to be hungry. But this is your decision right here. Do you want to eat more or not? Because that's it for today. Okay. So what is it in your bedtime routine that is triggering? Where is it that you've been contributing to it by not being consistent with the rules? And how clearly are your children aware of those are the rules and those are the consequences? If they do it or if they don't do it, if they don't stick with it, those are the consequences. And if you fill their cup, if you make them feel loved and appreciated and connected to you enough before all of this starts happening, the chances are there will be already less stress and less tension going into the bedtime routine, okay? This is what made all the difference for me. So I can tell you, after working intensively those 2 steps, the result for me and my daughter right now is that we are still going through the same. Like, it's still just me and her most of the evenings. I still have sessions planned at nights, most of the nights of the work week. But the atmosphere is completely different. I look forward to her bedtime because it's the time when we cuddle, snuggle, and it's just one-to-one attention. And every hug I give her, I feel it fully because I'm there, I'm present. I drop everything aside. She has, since she was 3 or 4 years old, we put a special kids alarm clock on her bedside that turns red, like you can set it up, the timer, that it turns red when it's time to sleep. And in the morning, when it's time to wake up, it turns green. So it actually helped us also with the mornings because my daughter used to wake up way too early. So this helped her even before she could recognize the numbers. She could just have a look at the alarm clock by her bedside and she could see, oh, it's still red, so I still need to stay in my room. Like, it's still time to sleep. Or, oh, it's green, so I can go and wake mommy up. And then at the night time, it was, okay, it's green, but now it turned red. So we agreed we'll have 10 minutes after it turns red. We'll have 10 minutes to do all the snuggles in her bed. So I'm lying with her in her bed. We have 10 minutes for hugs. And then when those 10 minutes are gone, she knows no point in negotiating. She goes with her head on her pillow, closing eyes. I don't talk anymore at that time. And she's falling asleep. So that's what works for me and my daughter. I'm not saying that you need to do the same. I'm just trying to give you ideas so that you start seeing what is happening and you start analyzing what is happening for me with my kids. Where are the challenges coming from? How am I contributing to them without knowing, without wanting? And what is it that you can start communicating to your children in advance, filling their cup, and trying to keep and set consistent routines no matter what? Because especially if they're at this age, 3 to 8 years old, I would say, it is crucial. Having clear expectations about what's coming and what the rules, what the boundaries are, it's crucial for them to feel safe, to feel in control. Because imagine there would be somebody coming to you every evening with new things, like you don't see it coming. You're reading your book or you're watching your favorite Netflix series and somebody comes and tells you, okay, and now we are going to do this. And you're like, what the heck? I haven't finished doing this. Like, let me finish. I love watching or doing this. It's like, no. I'm telling you right now, because I don't have the time and we have to do this now. It's like, how would you react? And if it was different thing at different times every night and you're already so tired, how would you react to that? Imagine just for a moment, step into the shoes of your kids. They are out of control. You are the one who decides everything. You are the one, and especially if there's no consistency in the times, no consistency in the sequence, how things are done, they are completely confused. Like one day you do it this way, another day because something happens, you come later, or there's visitors, there's family, friends playing over, like the routine is different again. They are completely out of control. So they just need to wait what's going to come and when it's coming, and they need to be ready to do it on the spot the first time you tell them. How would you feel if that was happening to you? So this is one thing that is true about parenting techniques. Consistency and routines, it helps. It helps a lot kids to anticipate and know what's coming. But you will be able to implement healthy time routines only when you are trauma-free from your childhood, when you do not get triggered, and when your mental fitness level is higher than the level of stress you're currently dealing with, so that you can keep those healthy routines while staying calm and connected with your kids, making them feel loved, not freaking out. Because that's not only the best way to ensure you will all have happy, loving bedtime, but that they will learn the same. This is even more important than anything. Your kids need to learn how to deal with their emotions. They need you as an example and role model on how to manage stress and how to make them feel that they are still the most important thing in your life. Even if you say no, even if you set the boundaries, even if you're stressed out in the middle of your 1,000 things, they need to feel they're the most important thing for you, because that's the feeling they will keep with themselves for the rest of their lives. And if you're here, you probably know very well how it feels when you don't have that, when you feel you're not good enough. You're not good enough until you're a good girl and fulfill everybody's wishes even before they ask for that. You know how it feels not to be worthy of unconditional love just the way you are, just because you are. Because most likely your parents didn't make you feel that way. So what's the best way to ensure that your kids will not go through the same? Doing this work, step 1 and 2. So I hope this was useful for you. I always love hearing from you. So just find my email address anywhere in description, no matter where you're looking or like watching or listening to this podcast. Let me know how this resonated with you. And if you're ready to dive deeper and do these 2 steps together, then I would love to hear from you. So I'm going to wish you a lot of peaceful, loving times with your children. Sending you lots of compassion, because I know you have it quite hard. And I hope at least this is one of the first things that gave you hope, that gave you inspiration about what's possible, because you don't have to be struggling this way. It is completely doable and it is possible for you too. So just give it a thought, do some more homework on me and on the techniques I was talking about, if that's what your smart brain feels like it's needed right now, and then get in touch. Okay? Take care, Supermom.